development of our state. Under that, a lot of things have happened, like we have distributed tablets, we have set up ICT labs, smart classes in schools, we have created some digital apps and platforms along with the VS, with the Shiksha Kendra. कैंसिल करा दो आपको, बंद करा दो।
सभी लोग से टाइम का लिस्ट है ऑफलाइन की बहुत
ऑफलाइन तो फिर लंच के लिए मत भेजो, ऑफलाइन कर दो, ऑफलाइन कर दो,
ऑफलाइन का लीजिए आप
Really sorry for that, they were just making their call. So yeah, so as I was telling, Prerna Technical Framework was started by the state to ensure that since we are in 21st century and we can see digital data is the new future. So those are also integrated in the basic education department. Under that, we have done various schemes. We have given tablets to all the schools. We have set up ICT labs in smart class. We have set up smart classes, etc. Along with that, we set up Vidya Samiksha Kendra where we are, and a dashboard named Nopun Bharat Monitoring Center for all the data needs. So first we will talk about Vidya Samiksha Kendra and dashboard, why we launched it, what was the requirement. Then we can go to the data points. We will talk about certain data points to tell you how we are tracking data and what's the future. If you have any specific data point that you would want to know or any specific unit department that you would like to know about, we can discuss that at the end of the presentation. Anuradha, keyboard. और यहाँ पे ले आओ. Keyboard. Mouse से यहाँ ले आओ keyboard. So I'll start. They will just move the presentation. Yeah. So first we'll talk about Vidya Samiksha Kendra. So Vidya Samiksha Kendra is a combination of two things. First is a call center where we are currently sitting. It is a 40-member call center with 40 operators and 5 supervisors who supervise the operators. Along with that, we have Nopun Bharat Monitoring Center, which is a dashboard, data dashboard, which is integrated with Vidya Samiksha Kendra. So Nopun Bharat Monitoring Center provides a lot of data points to the call center executives, based on which they can make calls, nudge calls to the field, they can make diagnosis calls or feedback calls accordingly. Moving forward, but first, why was there need of a data dashboard and a call center? So, talking about the geography of Uttar Pradesh, we have 75 districts, 880 blocks, and over 1.3 lakh schools in basic education department. Tracking data manually in Excel or Google Sheets was quite messed up and not feasible for the state regularly. To ensure data tracking is done on time, real time, we developed a lot of various apps. Now since we have different apps, there are around about 30 apps that are currently working, 30 apps / portals that are working. Taking data from all these apps and portals, then putting it at a place so that everyone can view that data is also a big challenge. So to ensure that all the data collection is done on time and real-time data collection is done and nudging is done, Nopun Bharat Monitoring Center was set up. So Nopun Bharat Monitoring Center is basically a dashboard of data points. It is user-centric dashboard so that all the field cadre and state cadre can check data of the KPIs, key performance indicators released for them. So every month department also releases a KPI letter for all the field cadre. We have KPIs for BSAs, which is the Apex Education Department Administrative Officer of the district. We have KPIs for diet principals, etc. So all those data points are visible on NBMC so that they can at any point in time of the month check whether they are towards achievement of that KPI or not. If not, they can create a remedial or some strategy to achieve the same. So if we talk about, as I told you, there are more than 20 GovTech systems, various apps, portals from which we get data. All that data is collated to NBMC. NBMC is configured to everyone, scalable, and a secure administrative portal. Since we again have a lot of data, as you can see, any dashboard if you see, there are a lot of data available. But we want a sync, not everyone has a time to visit every data point in detail. So we wanted user centricity lens. Hence, maps have been provided with color coding. Intuitive UI is provided. So for example, if I talk about this. So in the district, there is a meeting chaired by the DMs/CDOs, the IS officers of the district, reviewing the basic education department. So anyone can see this dashboard, and if the district is green, that means the meeting was conducted. If it is red, the meeting was not conducted. It takes less than 1 minute. To be honest, only 10 seconds to understand how many districts conducted, whether my district conducted or not. So to make that easy, that everyone within less than 1 minute can understand the data that that particular dashboard is providing, the dashboards were made user-centric with maps, color coding, etc. Now, along with that, to support that data is available, but still there are requirement of nudges and etc. We established and started VSK. So VSK was started in October 2022, which is a call center. As I mentioned, we have 40 operators and 5 supervisors. In the last year, we have had over 6 lakh incoming calls, and we did over 16 lakh outgoing calls to the field. Incoming calls comes for any query, if they have any question about any administrative stuff, technical issue, etc. Outgoing calls go for nudges, diagnosis, feedback study, etc. Along with that, a toll-free number was released last year, because in the state, not all parents are happy with the education department and government school. So to provide them a platform of raising their complaint, whether a school is performing well, not well, they can see the school at real time. So let's say a teacher is not coming in a school. They want to lodge a complaint. They can't lodge it directly with BSK, because BSK is already getting to 1.3 lakh schools. They might go into waiting, etc. So a toll-free number was released last year. In that, we have received over 8,000 calls against 323 categories. Against 32 categories, and total 323 complaints were lodged. Most of the calls were not related to any complaint. They were just checking or something else. So they were transferred back to BSK calls. But if the complaint is lost, it is here. And then BSAs are expected to take relevant action for the calls. Now, some types of calls that we do through BSK. So let's say diagnosis calls. So we conduct offline teacher training for all the 4.7 lakh teachers in the state. Now, the training is conducted offline by the mentor cadre, but we also want to take feedback from them, whether they felt training was useful or not, so that we can design the training for the next year accordingly. So that kind of feedback. We took feedback from quality of education, whether schools are performing well, they are giving good quality of education to the students. So we asked parents for the feedback. We asked for construction of additional classrooms. Money was given to schools for construction of additional classrooms, whether they are being constructed or not. We took diagnosis for them. Then we did nudge call. So as I mentioned, there is a target of conducting review meeting. So all BEOs, which is block level head of education department, conducts review of all the HMs. We have DMs reviewing the basic education department. So if those meetings are not conducted, nudge calls from the operators go to the relevant admin cadre to ensure that those meetings are conducted. Finally, we have incoming calls, and incoming calls include technical issues, programmatic issues, and administrative issues. Technical issue could be my portal is not logging in, data is not accurate, etc. Programmatic issues could be how to conduct a valid visit. For every mentor, there is a criteria of conducting a valid visit. So how to do that? I am facing some challenges with digital registers. The module is not good. We should improve this. Let's say we have written level 4 instead of classes. We should put classes. Those kind of feedback. Administrative could be like suggestions for the meetings. They can ask us whether their leaves are extended, not salary, etc. So a lot of things come to VSK. Now VSK does calls. Incoming calls, there is a proper issue resolution mechanics. The calls come, it either goes to the technosis, which is the technical vendor for resolution, or comes to the department if it is something that department needs to solve and answers. But what happens for outgoing calls? That department only prescribes to do. So let's take an example of quality of education calls that we did last year. So last year during April and May, we did calls to the parents because we got a feedback that parents are not liking the quality of education in the state of Uttar Pradesh. We wanted to take feedback from them, what is the problem. So the objective, as I mentioned, was to understand whether parents like the quality of education of the government schools. We took calls, we did 8,800 calls, some calls were done, some were not done, etc. We got a data point. Now that data point is directly given to the unit in charge, the head of the unit who asked for these calls. In our case, it was quality unit. So quality unit in charge was given the false data. He now analyzed the false data with help of his team members, and finally a next step was taken. As part of that, time and motion study was released. There were letters released regarding how to improve quality of education. BSAs were given notification, and finally also toll-free number was also decided because of these calls. As we can see, 10% of parents were saying we don't like the education of government schools. We wanted that 10% to go to zero, and hence we did that. This year also, quality of education calls will be done. Currently, they are not being started because it's still first week of April. It will be done by the end of March, and we can then see whether these steps were successful or not based on the data received. So this was regarding the VSK. Now coming to a bit about data points of NVS. So as we can see, there are lots of data points that we are tracking. We can go into every data point if you want, but I will just highlight a few data points to help you understand what's the need and why we do it. So first is school classification dashboard. In this dashboard, we see whether it is specifically for Nopun Bharat mission, which is to achieve foundational literacy and numeracy for classes Balvatika to class 2, as released by Government of India. So we check how many schools are able to achieve that target. We have created 3 categories of schools: Saksham, Madhyam, Sangrashi, where criteria is every school with more than 80% students achieving that foundational literacy and numeracy target is called Saksham, 50 to 80 Madhyam, and 50 below Sangrashi. So based on that, data is presented here. Anuradha, mouse पे दे दो मेरे को. Scroll कर दीजिए. So if we can see, let's say Unnao district, there are total 2200 schools in Unnao, and we can see 106 schools for Saksham, 82 Madhyam, and 2000 schools for Sangrashi. Now the BSA, their mentors, etc. can see this data and take remedial actions as they require. If we see the supportive supervision data, so there are lots of mentors in Uttar Pradesh, in total 4,000, over 4,000. We have 5 ARPs in every block, 3 SRGs in every district. They conduct some supportive supervision visit. So this shows how many ARPs conducted their visit. Their target is to visit 30 schools in a month for ARP. So this dashboard is only for ARPs. So for example, in Agra we had 72 ARPs. Their target comes out to be 2160, 30 into this. Then out of that they conducted only 1700 visits. The reason was because it was March, there were lots of trainings, etc. So they did less, which is also a flag which was highlighted. And in every visit they are supposed to take care of 3 things. Whether it's a unique school, they visit it for at least 2 hours, and they assess at least 5 students to understand the learning outcomes of that school. If they do all these, that comes out to be a valid visit. So that particular data is showcased. Now coming to, let's say, infrastructure. These were some quality interventions. Now infrastructure. In infrastructure under Operation Kayakkal, we are saturating 19 parameters that we want. So data tracking of all these 19 parameters, whether it's saturated or not. If we can see currently in state it's 93%. It's based on a third-party analysis done by Diet Trainees. They mark it on an app and that data directly comes here. Let's go to, let's say, DBT. Or inspection visits is similar to mentoring. Let's go to DBT. So in DBT, every student is registered on DBT and is provided 1200 rupees for uniform, bag, shoes, belts, etc. So whether the student is registered, Aadhaar verified, whether amount is gone or not, everything is showcased here. Okay. Video Madhyamik school online wala. So along with that, these are some examples of outgoing incoming call. Along with that, we do video calling. So in all the Madhyamik, which is secondary education schools, there are CCTV cameras installed as per the government order, and in all the CCTV cameras are directly linked to BSK. BSK operator sits and see whether the currently school is off, chutti ho chuki hai. So hence these schools are empty, but BSK operator sits and see whether teaching is going on or not, whether timetable is being followed or not. And if not, nudge calls are directly made to the principal of the school that this is not being followed, so that the quality of education doesn't drop. There was a lot of cases that teachers were teaching, so this has been able to reduce those cases. Now coming to next dashboard, we can see midday meal. So midday meal is given to all the students, and to track that IVRS calls are done to all the schools.
In this case, all the schools are connected with your center.
All the secondary schools, not all. कितने secondary schools हैं? आदित्य? How many secondary schools have
8,600.
8,000 have the CCTV? Some schools are still there. Once they have the CCTV, they will be connected directly. It's just infrastructure availability is currently. So coming to MDM dashboard. So here we can see how many students got meal in a particular day and how many ate. Based on this only the payments for MDM in schools is made. So if attendance is let's say low, the payment is made low. Less payment is made. If we talk about this was review meetings, whether review meeting is conducted or not. We also have dashboards regarding attendance for KGPVs, the result. We conducted third-party assessments for Nopun. Whether the schools, we have been running Nopun for the last 3 to 4 years, whether the schools are able to achieve that target or not, we conducted a third-party assessment. The data for that is also available. So basically the core objective of NBNC is to provide a one-stop solution for all the data needs, and so that every cadre, be it DM, CDO, the head IAS officers of district, BSA, which is the head of education department in a district, to HFs, which is headmasters of all the schools, are able to see the data, check and make remedial decisions based on the data. So this is mainly about the BSK. If you have any questions, we are open.